Welcome to Trojans Live, the exclusive USC Trojans coaches show.
He's in the end zone. Touchdown, USC.
Behind the scenes insights and breaking news from Lane Kiffin, Andy Enfield, and the student athletes who play for the Cardinal and Gold.
Throws over the middle, complete Marquise Lee. He's got it at the 5 in the end zone. Touchdown, USC.
Trojans Live is brought to you by
BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Visit SoCalBMW.com today to find a BMW center near you. By Valvoline, charge on, but visit Valvoline Instant Oil Change first. Home of the drive-thru only change and proud sponsor of USC football. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for special discounts and offers. By Allstate Insurance, mayhem is everywhere. Start protecting yourself from mayhem with Allstate Insurance. By Western Exterminator, providing all-star termite and pest control you can trust for over 90 years. Western Exterminator, the final word in pest control.
Now, here are Jordan Moore and John Jackson.
Hello and welcome to another week of Trojans Live, presented by your Southern California BMW Centers on KFWB News Talk 980. As always, we are live at the Lab Restaurant next to USC's Galen Center across the street from campus, where tonight we're going to sit down with the head football coach Lane Kiffin, team captain Devon Kennard, and starting tailback Trey Madden coming up. The national champion women's soccer head coach Ali Khosrow-Shaheen and defensive coordinator Clancy Pendergast will close the show. I'm Jordan Moore alongside John Jackson. And JJ, you put the Trojans on upset alert last week, and unfortunately the worst case scenario came to be.
Well, I won't do that again. I can tell you that. You know, the thing was, I thought it was going to be a tough game, not the way it turned out. I thought that, Washington State, after putting up so many yards against Auburn, I thought that passing attack, with the fact that the Trojans were going to be down some cornerbacks, we knew that Anthony Brown was going to be out, and we're going to, and Seymour was going to be questionable. So with those things sort of looming, I said, wow, how are they going to stop him? And I thought it was going to be one of those high-scoring games that was going to come down to the last series. Now, it came down to the last series. We just didn't get the high-scoring game.
Well, the man with all the answers is sitting down with us now. This segment is brought to you by your Southern California BMW Centers. Visit SoCalBMW.com today to find a BMW center near you. Coach, let's start with the good news. Outside of the passing game, it was an otherwise dominant performance.
Well, now I've figured out the problem. I did not know what the problem was. JJ put us on upset alert.
That's right.
I mean, talk about bad karma. As long as I've known you as many years, we already offered your son a scholarship. They're taking it back now.
I won't do it again, I promise.
Jeez, now I know. No, it really, you mentioned it. There's some games you come out of, you say, okay, what are we going to do? We got a million problems. You lose by a bunch of points, offense, defense, special teams. And we came out of that game saying, you know what? Our passing game was horrible, as bad as it possibly can be. But you know what? We played great defense. We ran the ball well enough to win by far. And so we got to fix one aspect, which is a lot easier than having to fix an entire team. And even though maybe it didn't seem like it, our team was playing extremely hard in that game. We just screwed up one area.
Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball, because you're exactly right. The defense was phenomenal. And you watch it, obviously, cheering for them, but you also, when you analyze it, why is he so successful, and why, let's say even in the case of Coach Leach, who's faced him before, why does he continue to just look like he's confusing the other offenses?
Yeah, I think Clancy did a great job. He had a game plan going in of doing things different series to series. So he'd throw something out there, let him look at it, and throw something out there different in Series 2 and Series 3, and they never really caught up to it. You think Mike Leach, who is a great offensive coach, one of the best in the entire country, they didn't score a touchdown the entire day. That is such a credit to Clancy and to the players, obviously. They played really, really hard in that game, and I think it also goes back to paying off the decision that we made after last season to say, we're going to have really physical practices. 20 guys out for the spring game, a bunch of guys out during fall, and some guys still out, unfortunately. But that paid off. We have seen a different play up front on offense, and definitely a different play up front on defense. So we love that decision that we made.
I like some of the subtle nuances about Coach Pendergast's defense. One of the things, it appears that he'll, as the other team is setting up with a no huddle and going through their progression of changing the play, he then appears to have, Hayes Ballard also audible and change the defense. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, he does something that I really have not seen before, and it's really neat. There'll be a no huddle, and everybody else is just trying to rush to get the calls in. He'll actually sometimes wait to see the formations and then get the call in, because he knows certain things that he likes. So we're going to be tested different this week with a much different offense coming in here, but obviously extremely pleased at the way that we're playing defense, and it's something that we made a decision in January to go a different direction and to fix, and it's going the right way.
The big positive on offense is sitting right here and is coming up in a little bit in Trey Madden. You talked big about him in that spring before he got injured, and then we really saw it on Saturday. Did you just want to stick with him because, I mean, did he force you to stick with him as that game went on? Because he ended up with 32 carries, I believe it is.
Yeah, Trey really, I've said this before, was a lost story in what happened before the season started. And actually, you've got another one here, too. You really have two things on a team with all that expectations, everything around it, that I don't think people realized how good Devon Kennard could be. And they had not heard much about Trey because he was playing on defense, and we knew he was going to be a great running back. And both those guys get hurt all of a sudden before the season. So to have Trey back was huge. I think, somebody said it's the first back-to-back 100-yard games to start a season since 1981 and Marcus Allen. That's a pretty special stat right there for a guy that had not played college football at running back one snap before 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it looked like old school football. One other thing you settled in this week, you settled in on a quarterback. Why Cody? Why did you get the job? Why did you choose him?
Well, we're excited about Cody, and we see he's had a great week of practice. And as you've heard me say, I'm not going to get into this guy that and that guy didn't do that. I'm sure they're getting beat up enough, by our performance in general. So we're excited. We're also like how we have seen Max react. You always watch to see, is he going to pout? Is he going to kind of woe is me? He's done a great job this week. He's gone in there and done a really good job in practice. So I'm very pleased with both guys.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Cody really seemed to win the job in the scrimmages, the spring scrimmage and the fall scrimmage. He was fantastic in the Coliseum. We still haven't seen that Cody from him. Do you expect to see it this week? Is his confidence, his swagger starting to come back a little bit?
Well, I know we're going to see it at some point. I don't know this week. I don't know when it is. We're just continuing to try to develop and improve our team. And a big step of that is going to be consistency in the passing game. Those numbers and what happened the other night, it can't happen again. We've got to get that fixed because that was the whole storyline. If that is just normal in that game, not even great, just a normal 60% completion, 10 yards attempt, we're having a whole different conversation all week long.
Lane, we talked about running game good, Trey good. One other person that hasn't really got a lot of the credit, but I think is doing a lot of work behind the scenes, the new coach, the offensive line coach, Mike Summers. Talk about the transition of the offensive line, because it appeared that this week there were a couple new wrinkles in the run game with the guards pulling and a little bit more movement and cross blocking, things like that.
Yeah, you're right. We did pull some guys a little bit more. That's a good observation. Mike's come in and done a really good job in between him and James Craig teaming together. Really, we have seen our guys, and it's not a real experienced offensive line where they're playing, as you look at the guys. And, they're continuing to get better. It's been a good spring, good fall, and it's going to pay off throughout the season.
When the passing game struggles as it does, the wide receivers end up frustrated, and Marquise Lee, we know what he can do on the field. You had a conversation with him after that game, I believe it was on Sunday. What did you tell him that you're looking forward to seeing from him for the rest of the season?
He's pressing too much, and it showed up in special teams now. He's put the ball on the ground twice in back-to-back games, the fumble in Hawaii, and then the punt return is all set up for a huge right return, and he drops the ball. That's not Marquise, and to drop two balls, in the Hawaii game, that's not him. He's just pressing too much and trying to do everything. He's just got to do his job, and he will this Saturday.
And then with the rest of the receivers, we've talked about, getting Aguilar involved, the tight ends involved a little bit more. What do you have to do? Is that a play calling thing? Is it a quarterback decision thing? Is it a combination of both?
Yeah, it's a combination of a lot of things, and we don't expect that to happen. We're not trying for that. We're not going to the game saying we don't want Nelson and our tight ends to catch the ball. Sometimes they take them away. Sometimes the read isn't exactly right. I was joking to somebody the other day. They said, well, why aren't we throwing this guy? And I said, well, you have to remember, I don't have a joystick. It's not a video game. I don't have a joystick on the quarterback to be able to make him do it. I don't have a joystick on the receiver to make him block the guy so that the bubble screen doesn't get hit. Unfortunately, I don't. They're kids and they make mistakes, so we just got to get better.
If it were a video game, it sounds like the defense was picking drop 8 in almost every play last week. That's what you talked about a little bit. Cody talked about it. What can you, a little inside football, explain what you were looking at and potentially how to combat that?
Yeah, there was some drop 8 versus 11 personnel and spread out formations, and they did a good job. They coached too, and they did a good job, and we didn't adjust very well. And I didn't give our guys enough answers to it, obviously, by the way that we played in the second half. So we worked on some things this week, and we'll be ready next time that we get that.
And a lot of times, Lane, I know that, the way you feel after the game is one way. Then you go watch the film, you feel a different way. What is your overall takeaway in terms of what you could have or should have done now that you can play Monday or Thursday afternoon quarterback?
Yeah, exactly what you're saying. After that game, it felt like the world was over. What a bad, home opener, and to lose to Washington State. It just was, the world's over. We're not going to be able to wake up tomorrow. There's not going to be a sun. So you go and watch the film, and then you realize, hey, let's really analyze this. One aspect was horrible. We got some really good stuff going on. Let's go fix that one aspect. And it's easier to fix one part of the offense than it is where we were at, say, a year ago, after partway through the year, where we're saying, wow, we're giving up unbelievable numbers on the ground and in passing on defense. How are we going to fix this? So we'll get it right.
The questions are already rolling in on Twitter. If you want to jump on the show, use the hashtag TrojansLive. We're coming back with one more segment for the coach on KFWB News Talk 980.
Holiday waiting, throws. It is intercepted by Corin Harris in the end zone. Interception number 5 for USC on the season.
The BMW 3 Series is an icon that has topped Car and Driver's 10 Best list 22 consecutive times. Now introducing the newest member of the family, the BMW 320i. With 36 miles per gallon, no cost maintenance for 4 years or 50,000 miles, and starting at $32,550, the legend continues. We only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine. For complete details on BMW Ultimate Service, call 1-888-3114-BMW.
See a Southern California BMW Center today for a test drive or visit SoCalBMW.com.
Mayhem is everywhere.
I'm an over-enthusiastic football fan. We just beat one of the worst teams, but I'm walking out of the stadium celebrating like we just wrapped up a perfect season. I'm so blind with excitement, I don't notice when I step into traffic and you have to swerve to miss me. So get Allstate, where agents help keep you protected from mayhem, like me.
In Pomona, call Allstate agent Adrian Fredericks today, subject to terms, conditions, and availability.
Are you in good hands?
Valvoline Instant Oil Change is the home of the drive-through oil change. They understand you're busy and have a lot to get done in a day. You're a Trojan and have places to be. That is why at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, you drive in, not even getting out of your car, and drive out in about 15 minutes. As a proud sponsor of USC football, Valvoline Instant Oil Change would like to give a special deal to all the Trojan fans in Southern California. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for special offers and discounts. That's SoCalOilChange.com.
It's Pac-12 football season, and you can watch the Trojans on DirecTV or on Pac-12 networks. On DirecTV, you can find Trojans with shields. On Pac-12 networks, you can find Trojans with shoulder pads. Trojans of lore, or Trojans that score. Touchdown! Trojans who sack cities, or Trojans who sack QBs. If you want every Trojans football game, drop DirecTV and get Pac-12 networks today. Go to pac-12.com/switch and choose one of the many providers offering Pac-12 networks.
Now back to Trojans Live from the lab.
Tonight's highlights are courtesy of 710 ESPN. And as we said, we're going to check out Twitter now for a question for the coach. This one, Coach, comes from YKM Productions. Kip, in retrospect, do you wish you had named Kessler the starter sooner?
Well, I don't think that way. You can't change the past. Like I said to the media today, and I've said to our team, we can't get to 3-0. It's impossible. There's no way to do it. So quit worrying about the last game. Quit worrying about decisions. There's no way to change it now. All we can do is win this game and get to 2-1, and then go to the next game.
Lane, most weeks I want to be you, right?
You do?
Oh, damn.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do. I've heard about your check, but outside.
Don't believe what you read.
But in all seriousness, I mean, on just the human side, obviously you haven't slept. Trojan fans aren't letting you sleep. How has this week been? Because I know it's a tough week for you, but just football aside, how has the week been just for you to handle the situation?
Well, obviously that we were very disappointed after that game. 1-0 coming back, home opener, a game that we should win. we have way too good of offensive personnel to perform the way that we did, and so obviously that falls on me. So that's tough. You just when games like that happen, to me, it's unfortunately, maybe you don't want to hear this. It's not about fans, it's about players. You feel bad for your players. The boos, all the stuff going on, and you just feel like, I wish I could have done something different for our players, because they're the warriors. It's not the fans. It's not me. They're the ones in there. This next one coming up is the one carrying the ball 32 times. Devon Kennard's the one taking 70 snaps, hitting the guy in the mouth every time. Those are the guys that you feel that you could have done, that you wish you could have done better for.
Yeah, and that's sort of the same way I feel about it. Being a former player, the fans need to support the players. I think the worst thing about the boos is not necessarily that they're disgruntled about the way things are going, but the players have to face it. Has there been any message to them on how to handle this situation?
There is. I came up with a really good idea. I've been trying to explain to our players, the boos are for me, not for them. And they said, well, Coach, they're booing when we don't make it their guy. I said, they're booing me, not you. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to come out in warm-ups the last time when we come out. As the team takes the field, we're going to hold the team, and I'm just going to run out. Everybody can boo me, and then when the team runs out, everybody will cheer. And then I told our players, then you'll see they're not really booing you. It's just me.
Gotcha.
Another one from Twitter coming at you. It's Frank Mahoney. Wants to know how you're going to tailor the offense to Cody's strengths, and can you talk about some of his strengths that you see in his game?
Yeah, for the most part, really good decision-making in practice and in the spring scrimmages and all the way through the fall. So, I think it's going to be really good to see a guy get to just play and not have to worry about another one coming in and what is rotation and have the full week of practice. So we expect him to play really well, and he's going to.
I had a similar situation. Now, this is going back some years, I know, and it's old school football, I know. But I had a situation where when I was playing my senior year, Pat O'Hare was scheduled to be the starting quarterback, got hurt a week before the first game. Todd Marinovich, who everybody knows, stepped in, and, of course, the rest is history. But in our first game against Illinois, sort of a similar situation to the game at the Coliseum where we came out a little bit conservative, just trying to hold on, and then Jeff George, bam, hit us. We ended up losing the game. And then after the game, we had, after that situation, the players sort of band together, sort of the same situation that you guys have, to try to, change things. Has the players come to you and said anything that they really want to change or want to implement as a reaction to, make sure they don't have the same thing happen again?
No, it's, our players are in a really good place. As tough as that loss was, they went back to work, and we put a lot of work into this season and into this team. And so one game and one outcome and one aspect of our performance being the passing game, we don't need to all of a sudden have team meetings and change things and stuff. We need to fix that one aspect and continue to do the other things really well like we are.
There is an opponent this week. It's Boston College, and they have a new
That's the first question I've had all week about Boston College.
I know.
It's all about, you tell us it's all about you guys.
Sneak one in here at the end. Yeah, I know. We'll
it's
ask
all about us.
No, I didn't say it was an interview. It's the first question all week.
Okay.
But we'll ask it, and the answer will be, well, it's really all about us this week. But Steve Adazio is their head coach. He's an Urban Meyer guy. What kind of tape do you look at when you have a first-year head coach? How much are you able to learn about Boston College and only seeing 2 games from them?
Yeah, there's a bunch of tape flying around because you have where he was at before as a head coach, the defensive coordinator come from UConn, so and then you have the last 2 games. So there's a bunch of tape floating around that we're using in different areas for different things. But what you can see what they've done in the first 2 games, they play really physical. They run the football, downhill running with a very strong, powerful back, some play-action game with a very good receiver. And then on defense, they played really well in these 2 games. They're playing really tough and running at the football. He's doing a great job.
Does it make it easier or more difficult when you're facing an opponent that you don't face every year? Like in Pac-12, of course, you face them every year. In this case, it's a brand-new opponent. Is it easier or harder in terms of the week preparation?
For me, it's a lot harder. I always enjoy playing someone we've played before, and so we see how they have tried to play against us, especially on offense, because our offense, a lot of times everything's spread out nowadays. And so, for instance, in this matchup, it's tough to tell. The first 2 games they played is kind of wild offenses that really don't resemble anything that we do, so it's hard to tell. I always like playing a coordinator, the year before, so that you get to see them. Much like last week, we had not seen them before, so we didn't know what they were going to do either.
After 2 weeks, you have the number 1 rush defense in the country. That'll be tested this week, I imagine, with Andre Williams. He's a big back, 6 feet, 227. What else do you see from him on film?
Powerful, strong, keeps his legs moving. He's a physical, big, old-school back. and we're going to have to tackle really well, not just in our inside and play physical. We're going to have to tackle in the secondary really well because they bring in a lot of extra backs and tight ends, much like Stanford.
A couple of performances have sort of gone unnoticed. Morgan Breslin, of course, made his first start. He looked exceptional. And then Josh Shaw, the move to corner, I thought it was going to be a big deal. He may handle it perfectly.
Yeah, I think another kind of hidden story, because when you lose, that's what happens. We understand that. But not just did the defense play really well. The two corners that started the opener didn't start the next game. And Josh Shaw, who hadn't played corner at all, had to go out there and play corner because of injuries, from safety in the system, and did a great job. And then Demetrius Wright had to step in and start, did a great job. So just couldn't be more excited about the way that we're playing on defense, not just from a coaching, but from the players, too, to see their reaction. You're going to have Devon here, Devon, Morgan. These guys at the end, they're cheering the offense harder than anybody else. Right. It was really cool to see. And
staying in that secondary, Torrin Harris is a guy you really have stayed loyal to over the years, and it seems like he's finally, crossing that bridge.
Yeah, he really was probably the best story of the game for me as you break down the game of a guy who's been up and down in his career here. Struggled at times last year, and he played really, really well in that game and really tough and physical, which was great to see.
Well, you got a big day coming up in the Coliseum. You joked about it a little bit that, you're going to run out first. Is there something you want to see, though, or do you guys have to win to change the atmosphere in the Coliseum? You got 2 more games coming in the Coliseum. Is it winning that changes that, or is there something that you'd like to see from the fans to try and rally this? I mean, there's 11 games to go, and everyone's sort of jumping off the bridge.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions this week that have come about that, the booing and chants, whatever. I got no issues with that at all. Fans pay money, and they expect to see something better than that. That was a really bad performance, obviously, especially in the past game on offense. There's high expectations here, and we have them too. So we're on the same page. We got to play better, and we got to coach better, obviously.
Potential for a redemption Saturday coming up. Thank you for those tweeting in. Tonight's tweets are brought to you by Allstate Insurance. Football players rely on lots of coaches, quarterbacks, running backs, and special teams, just to name a few. But for insurance, you only need one coach, an Allstate agent. They'll help you with your insurance game plan. Call L.A. area Allstate agent Cheryl Binns or Shahid Jamilian today. Thank you to the head coach. Coming up, 2 of his star players. It's Devon Kennard and Trey Madden on Trojans Live.
Long count, play action fake, rolling. Kessler going to run it himself, and he will score the touchdown, USC.
If you're looking at a car, a truck, or an SUV, Ford has an EcoBoost engine for you. Listen to Mike Savage talk about his Fusion.
The Fusion's EcoBoost engine's really quick. It's a lot of power, and I just love that sports car feel. But I still get the fuel economy of a 4-cylinder engine.
Jen Bellotti picked an Escape over a BMW.
When I'm merging onto the freeway, I step on the gas. It's super powerful. You can just feel it.
Joe D'Angelo loves his F-150 with EcoBoost.
It's got as much power as the V8, whether it's from a stop, merging, passing.
The EcoBoost engine from Ford gives you the power of a larger engine with the fuel economy of a smaller engine. EcoBoost, it's miles ahead of the competition.
Hi, Pete Arbogast here. I just want to say how excited we are that Ford is continuing to support our Trojan family. We're really proud to see Ford as a world leader in automotive technology, and equally proud that Ford is a part of our USC team.
Fusion EPA estimated rating of 22 city, 33 highway, 26 combined MPG. 2.0 liter EcoBoost. Actual mileage will vary.
So, you need hot dogs for the tailgate, salads for game day, and thirst quenchers for the cheering squad on the couch. Good thing Smart & Final has everything to make your team happy and score big savings. Smart & Final has low prices like Walmart, big sizes like Costco with no membership fees, plus the freshness of a supermarket in one place. Smart & Final, warehouse prices, big and small sizes.
Headed to Saturday's game? Get your tailgate needs and 90-minute free customer parking at the new Smart & Final Extra in downtown L.A., located on Figueroa, 1 block north of the pantry. Business leaders, Azusa Pacific University proudly presents Dave Ramsey's Entree Leadership One Day on October 16th in Redondo Beach, based on Dave's New York Times bestseller, Entree Leadership.
At this event, you'll learn everything from hiring to firing, decision-making, goal-setting, and more. Plus, author John Acuff will be joining me to teach a lesson based on his New York Times best-selling book, Start.
Get details about this must-see event for leaders at kfwb.com.
Drifting back in trouble and throws the ball away. It's loose. It's on the ground. It's picked up by the Trojans. Devon Kennard have returned down to the 20, down to the 19-yard line.
Perfect open for Devon Kennard and Trey Madden joining JJ and I here on Trojans Live. What's going on, gentlemen?
How you guys doing?
Welcome to the show. Trey, I'm just happy to see that you got here. 32 carries on Saturday. How are you feeling physically this week?
I'm feeling good. Had a good week of practice and worked all the kinks out, so I'm feeling ready for this weekend.
Spend a little time in that ice tub this week?
Definitely, every day.
Hey, Trey, let me tell you the secret. You get 32 carries, you tell the coach, I can't see it till Wednesday. You just said you can take off the rest of the time. I can see it till Wednesday. You know, DK is one of my favorites, and the reason why is because his dad, and I'm dating myself, but his dad is much older than me. Make sure you tell him that. He's much older. When I was a rookie in the NFL, his dad was like my mentor. And so DK was running around. I mean, he's not as big as he is now, but he was running around and stuff. So it's good to have him on the show and sort of see this thing come full circle. Talk about your comeback. I mean, it's been an amazing comeback. I know how it was a frustrating year last year not being able to play. Talk about how it's come and how you feel about it now.
Like you said, last year was tough, but, I learned a lot from it mentally and just got ready for this season. And, God has a plan in every way, and I couldn't be in a better situation with this defense, with this team, and I'm excited, about what I've done so far and what the team's going to do the rest of the season.
Yeah, what you've done so far, statistically, at least, is 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, that fumble recovery that we just heard. That's just through 2 games. Are you as comfortable as at home in this defense as you appear to be?
I definitely feel comfortable. Coach Pendergast puts us all in a position to make plays, and as a player, that's all you can ask for. And, you got safeties, D-linemen, linebackers all making plays, so we're excited to play, and we're playing hard every week.
And Trey, the story for you is sort of similar in the fact that you weren't able to play last year, a frustrating year off, I'm sure, having to wait your turn. But now that you have established yourself as the man and, getting the ball 32 times, by the way, you and I know you never got it 32 times in high school. But with that being said, how do you feel in terms of a comfort level, the transition from linebacker to running back, missing a year, and now getting your opportunity?
Yeah, it wasn't a real smooth transition from linebacker to having a year off to running back, but I definitely feel comfortable in our system and getting the ball and just reading the blocks. The offensive line is doing great, run blocking, and I feel real comfortable.
Because you were rehabbing, you basically wore a yellow non-contact jersey throughout all of spring, throughout all of fall. How difficult was it for you? And you're sort of a running back that seeks contact. You're not really a make people miss kind of guy. How difficult was it for you not to have any pounding, not to really be tackled at all before all of a sudden you're there in Hawaii and you're the guy? Let's go.
I wouldn't say it was no contact. Our defense is real physical, so they were definitely lumping me up a little bit. So I came in ready for the season.
And DK, the fact that Clancy Pendergast takes over as defensive coordinator, changes the scheme. It couldn't have worked out better for you, right? Because, in the 4-3, your hand down, that's not really your style. Now that you're in your style of defense, how comfortable are you with it? And how excited are you to play in his system, knowing what it now can become?
I'm very excited to play in this defense. You never know when we're coming or going. So you got, me and Morgan Breslin on the edge, and sometimes we're coming, sometimes we're dropping, and it adds a factor for us. And, you can also see more. So we can see more, see formations and see tendencies and stuff. So it's a lot of fun.
One thing about the defense I noticed in watching film is you guys are working in tandem. So whether it be, you and Leonard Williams or George, or working on the side of George Uko, either way it goes, you guys are working in tandem a lot of times on your rushes. Sometimes one guy has a pull or twist to get the other guy loose. How is that? How does that sort of come about? How is it working in terms of the makeup of the defense and how it performs?
As far as our defensive front, Coach O always says it takes 4 to get a sack. So, we rush together. There's things sometimes, like if I get a sack, it's because, Morgan pressured him and made him step up and I was able to get there, or Leonard did. So, it takes 4 to get a sack and we work together.
I think it has to take 5 to get a sack now, right? It's a 52 defense. Coach knows you got that 4-3 mentality. But, Trey, you are from a football family, and I saw a great quote. Your grandfather was a star here at the Coliseum with the L.A. Rams, Lawrence McCutcheon. He said, "There's nothing quite like running out of the tunnel at the Coliseum. It's one of the most exciting things in all of football. I'm thrilled that my grandson can do what I did so many times." What's it like carrying on that legacy?
It's awesome. I never really got to see my grandpa play, but from what I hear, he was a great player, and it's just great to carry on that family thing.
Yeah, he was good. He used to wear the old school Lawrence McCutcheon jerseys. Remember that, the old school Rams jerseys? With that being said, Trey, the Wildcat. You guys had a chance to use it last week. I mean, sampled a little bit in Hawaii, but really used it extensively in some critical situations last week. Something you're obviously comfortable from doing in high school. How does Coach Kiffin realize that you can do a lot of things out of it? Is that one of the reasons he put it in?
Yeah, he realizes I have a lot of ability out of the Wildcat, and we added some things this week, so we'll see where it goes from there.
Did he come to you and say, "Look, Trey, give me a couple plays"? I mean,
no, he installs it in the offensive meeting, so we can go from there and see where it takes us.
Devon, without getting into whether it was a players-only meeting or not, or whatever happened, is this an important week for the captains? I mean, you have that C on your chest. Is this an important week? Take a leadership role. I mean, there's a lot of football to be played, and everyone's freaking out. I mean, is this a big week for the veterans?
It's a big week for everybody. We're coming off of a loss, so I think it was important that we emphasize practicing hard. And we had a great week of practice this week on both offense and defense, and we got after each other ones versus ones early in the week, and we were grinding. And I think we're prepared and ready for Boston College.
And DK, when it comes to players-only meeting, talk to your father, okay? Your father used to be king of the court in the players-only meetings. So just talk to him on what he thinks about players-only meetings. You might be having them 3 times a week. Have to talk to him.
Guys, what is the mood of the team this week? I think that's the question I've been most asked this week. What is the mood of the team? How are you guys recovering from it?
I think everybody's mindset is good. We came, worked hard, and it's as good as it could be coming off of a loss. And I think we're just excited to get back out there and show what we can do this week.
All right, we're looking forward to seeing it. The game is noon on Saturday. Pac-12 Networks, which is now on AT&T Uverse. That's the good news. If you DirecTV, check at USC_athletics. We'll tweet out some bars that you can check out the game at if you don't get Pac-12 Networks. Bare Naked hits the road once again to college football games. Live active with passion for eating great-tasting granola, fueling your fun at USC football today. We are coming back. We'll talk to JJ about what's going on with this team and what's ahead with Boston College on KFWB News Talk 980.
Sounds like that's getting worse.
From mild ailments to something more serious, HealthNet is here for you. We provide affordable health coverage that you and your family deserve. With plan benefits that include doctor visits, prescriptions, immunizations, and even free physical exams, HealthNet gives you peace of mind. Look to HealthNet for affordable health coverage for you and your family. We are your HealthNet.
HealthNet of California, Inc. and HealthNet Life Insurance Company are subsidiaries of HealthNet, Inc.
Trojan fans, each season the schedule is filled with pesky opponents looking to bring you down. But when that yellow truck and the little man with the hammer pulls up to your home or place of business to battle your bug opponent, insects and pests have no chance. For over 90 years, Western Exterminator has been in the trenches, dominating every matchup and every battle of the bug, which is why true Trojan fans know that Western Exterminator is the final word in pest control.
Let's say you're going to choose between the BMW 528i and a Mercedes E350. But the BMW 528i is faster, more fuel efficient, and comes with no-cost maintenance for up to 4 years or 50,000 miles. Not much of a choice, is it? We only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine. Speed claims based on specs from manufacturer sites. Fuel efficiency comparisons based on EPA estimates. For ultimate service details, call 1-888-3114-BMW.
See a Southern California BMW Center today for a test drive or visit SoCalBMW.com.
It's Pac-12 football season, and you can watch the Trojans on DirecTV or on Pac-12 Networks. On DirecTV, you can find Trojans with shields. On Pac-12 Networks, you can find Trojans with shoulder pads. Trojans of lore, or Trojans that score. Touchdown! Trojans who sack cities, or Trojans who sack QBs. If you want every Trojans football game, drop DirecTV and get Pac-12 Networks today. Go to pac-12.com/switch and choose one of the many providers offering Pac-12 Networks.
Continental Tire is driving performance for you. Whether driving to the game, dropping the kids off at practice, or commuting to work, Continental makes the right tire for your vehicle. Our tires are designed with Eco Plus technology to deliver shorter stopping distances on wet roads and tremendous long wear. Plus, improved fuel efficiency that can actually save you money over the life of the tire. Visit ContinentalTire.com to find out how much money you can save or to find a retailer near you. Continental Tire, exclusive tire of the Trojans.
Now more Trojans Live.
All right, we're going to put a hold on JJ and let the coach step in here. It's the women's soccer head coach, Ali Khosrow Shaheen. JJ, I'll let you handle the last name from here on out. Or you can,
Jordan, you
Ali
say that
K,
really well.
Thank you.
You do.
Thank
My
you.
wife actually called me and said, he said our last name really well.
Well, hopefully I won't have to do it any more times in this show. Coach, a great start to this season, 3-1-1. Not the best road trip, but you started off really on fire this year. 4 goals in each of the 3 games. Where does this offensive outburst come from?
It's coming from a good balance of our rookies and our returners. Just a real dynamic group, a real athletic group. It's really committed to being real successful this year.
You know, Coach, the amazing thing was, and this goes back to when we first met, actually, in 2007. You take the job, you win the national championship.
Not the smartest thing to do, by the way.
Yeah,
as my boss sits right out there.
Well, raise that bar nice and high.
That
right
was my
from day
question.
one.
That was my
For
question.
sure.
Now that you put the bar way up there, you know, how hard is it and how difficult is it, especially performing within the conference?
You know, I think anytime you come to work at the University of Southern California, you're expected to compete for national championships. And to do it right out of the gates here wasn't the smartest thing, but it was one of the greatest things we've done. It takes some time to adjust to working at USC. It's a private school. My experience has been in a public school. And, you know, winning it right away extended the honeymoon period by a year. And then you have to start making some good decisions. And unfortunately, we had some injuries and some issues that come along in any program. And we're on a rebuilding schedule here, and we like what we see. We have a tremendous young team right now with a good mix of senior leadership. So we're excited to play at home again and entertain the fans.
Yeah, it's interesting you called it a rebuilding schedule because that's what it looks like from the outside, that you really have spent 2 years now reconstructing this team. You brought in a lot of young players last year. You've done it again this year. What was your philosophy looking at it and your sort of 2-3 year plan, whatever it was?
You know, in women's soccer, recruiting happens at such an early stage, and after we won in 2007, we jumped on that early bandwagon really hard and basically went after and got a bunch of sophomore commitments, the best players in their age group at the time. And they still have to go through the maturation process and deal with escaping to the beach in the summertime in between sophomore and junior year like we all did. And those are the times when young people make some interesting decisions, just like we did, and then it affects their development, you know?
And, Coach, with that being said, you have a young team. What do you do as a coach to help foster the leadership of that team? Because you know down the line, leadership is going to be so important.
Well, you try to empower your team as much as possible. You want to make it a collaboration between yourself and the players. The players have to understand that their commitment and their responsibility to chemistry, to camaraderie, to the off-field stuff is on them. And then on-the-field stuff is up to the coaching staff. And the more of those things they take care of, the easier our job becomes on the field and on the training grounds.
In talking to some of your players, they were really crediting something interesting I guess you did in the off-season. You put them through a little boot camp, it sounds like. What'd you do?
Yeah, we brought in this organization called The Program, a gentleman who was a former Army Ranger who came out and put our team through some extensive calisthenics, one team, one heartbeat, building good teammates and good leaders through shared adversity. My kind of stuff. The gentleman did a fantastic job of making the young ladies depend on one another and work together. And it has really carried over to our season here.
And, Coach, one other thing is that, you know, with watching your style that you guys play, more of a motion type of offense as opposed to
I like
other
that.
teams.
Good job.
Hey,
You're getting educated. You're getting educated. I like that.
I also have a daughter, by the way, that I'm going to need a scholarship for. But
we can talk later. Don't break any rules now.
I won't. But the fact that you guys do play that motion offense, how receptive is that for incoming recruits to be in that style of offense because it's more of an international style?
It's very receptive. It just takes some time for them to be able to see more than just what is right in front of them. You have to be aware of all 11 players on your team, plus the opposition, and be able to recognize where the openings are. So it takes a collective effort and not so much an individual effort. And that's a bit of an adjustment. It takes about a year or two for the players to be able to think pass first before dribble, and the type of players we get, who are all dynamic dribblers and playmakers, takes a little bit of time to get them to adjust to how we like to play.
Well, you can see the women of Troy this weekend. They are back home at McAllister Field. There's a game tomorrow, Friday at 2:30, and then on Sunday, $1 hot dogs, and you're in free with your Boston College ticket. So check out their schedule at usctrojans.com. We thank Ali for joining us. Now when we come back, we will get to JJ on Trojans Live.
Business leaders, Azusa Pacific University proudly presents Dave Ramsey's Entree Leadership One Day on October 16th in Redondo Beach, based on Dave's New York Times bestseller, Entree Leadership.
At this event, you'll learn everything from hiring to firing, decision-making, goal-setting, and more. Plus, author John Acuff will be joining me to teach a lesson based on his New York Times best-selling book, Start.
Get details about this must-see event for leaders at KFWB.com. Sponsored in part by ProGo.
So, you need hot dogs for the tailgate, salads for game day, and thirst quenchers for the cheering squad on the couch. Good Things Smart & Final has everything to make your team happy and score big savings. Smart & Final has low prices like Walmart, big sizes like Costco with no membership fees, plus the freshness of a supermarket in one place. Smart & Final, warehouse prices, big and small sizes.
Headed to Saturday's game? Get your tailgate needs and 90-minute free customer parking at the new Smart & Final Extra in downtown L.A., located on Figueroa, 1 block north of the Pantry.
Mayhem is everywhere.
I'm the football your buddy fired through your windshield. The cooler that tumbled out of a pickup and onto the hood of your car. If you're a football fan, eventually we're going to meet. So get Allstate, where agents help keep you protected from mayhem. Like me.
Are you in good hands?
Start protecting yourself from mayhem. In Paramount, call Allstate agent Richard Cross today. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability.
Valvoline Instant Oil Change is the home of the drive-through oil change. They understand you're busy and have a lot to get done in a day. You're a Trojan and have places to be. That is why at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, you drive in, not even getting out of your car, and drive out in about 15 minutes. As a proud sponsor of USC football, Valvoline Instant Oil Change would like to give a special deal to all the Trojan fans in Southern California. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for special offers and discounts. That's SoCalOilChange.com. In 1952, Lovey Yancey created something unique, a culture, a phenomenon, if you will. She created the biggest, juiciest hamburgers anyone had ever seen. So obviously, there was only one name for them, Fat Burger. For more than 60 years, Fat Burger has been dedicated to serving big, fresh, 100% pure lean beef burgers, custom-made and grilled right in front of customers. Fat Burger, big, juicy, tasty. Now that's a Fat Burger.
Back to Trojans Live.
Jordan Moore and John Jackson live at the lab. JJ's already gotten his son a football scholarship tonight with Lane and his daughter a soccer scholarship with Ali. So maybe you can earn your keep a little bit and tell us how to fix this passing game and what the Trojans need to do this week.
Well, I mean, the first thing is not going to be easy, right? But I think that the first element of it, you have to spread the ball around. You know, I liken it to what Oregon does, right? In Oregon, you have 6 skilled guys on the field at one time. They spread it around to all 6. If you don't spread the ball around, which is what happened last week, with 3 guys really getting it, and I'm talking about Lee Aguilar and Trey Madden, with 3 guys getting it, now the defense can start to focus in on 3 guys, and they'll let the other guys just have their, the small yards they're able to get. So I think that's where it has to start. It has to start with spreading the ball around, and then they have to work vertically down the field. Because as a receiver, the last thing we want to do is run short routes. Trust me. We want to go deep. We want to get guys off of us. The only way to get them off of you is to show them that you can run right by them, and we have the guys to do it. So I think getting down the field, throwing the ball down the field, as well as getting everybody involved in the passing game is the key.
You have to think, even if they stay in this conservative style, lean on this defense, which has been fantastic so far, lean on the running game, eventually one of these offenses is going to take them out of their shell and force them to put up some points. Is Boston College potentially that team?
I hope so, and I think so, because I think that what the players will learn from watching the film last week is that there's so many plays that change that game around. And it's some of the plays we as fans don't even recognize would have changed the game around. So with that being said, it could be one guy not getting his head on the right side for a block. It could be a running back getting tripped up when he should have ran through the tackle. It could be a receiver down the field not blocking the corner and staying on him with enough effort that would have allowed the running back to spring it loose. The problem is a player. You don't know what play is going to be the one that determines the game. So you have to play 60 extremely hard. It might be the one where Marquise Lee comes out and blocks, and he says, I got to take some time off because I'm tired because I ran 3 routes back-to-back, and that might be the play that cost you the game. So I'm just using him as an example.
Right.
But that's sort of where you have to go as an offense to get this thing straightened out.
Well, this is no easy game this weekend. BC comes in at 2-0. They defeated Villanova in their opener, and then a big win over Wake Forest. That's a conference win last week. The running back, Andre Williams, ran for over 200 yards. They have a quarterback who's a 4-year starter, an L.A. kid coming home to the Coliseum. What do you see from BC in terms of that challenge?
Well, I think the fact that you've just mentioned is Ratig is a 4-year starter, and he's been around, and he knows that, so he's not going to be in the Coliseum. He has a running game behind him. Balanced attacks can always cause defenses trouble. The Trojans have to turn them one-dimensional, and then they'll get this thing under control.
Well, the man who's had all the answers to the opposing offenses so far this year, Clancy Pendergast, is coming up next. That was the Scouting Report brought to you by Lorenzo. Game on. Make your move today to the Lorenzo, the most talked-about apartment community at the University of Southern California. Brand new upscale student living is waiting for you. Hurry. Spaces are going fast. Don't miss out. Immediate occupancy. Visit thelorenzo.com or call 213-863-4307. Coming back, one more segment. It's Clancy Pendergast on Trojans Live.
The thing that I really enjoy about the Ford C-Max is that it is a hybrid, and I feel very new and relevant.
For Kate Oxman, her Ford C-Max is more than just a car.
I love the technology that comes with the Ford C-Max. It's fun. It's fun to show off that, oh, look, my car, I wave my foot magically underneath the liftgate and it opens up. My perception of Ford has definitely changed buying the Ford C-Max. I've always liked Ford. I like that it has a very family feel to it, but now Ford is sexy and it's got these fun bells and whistles.
The Ford C-Max has an EPA estimated rating of 45 city, 40 highway, and 43 combined MPG. Actual mileage will vary.
It's saving me a huge amount of money, and I just like using less of what I call the Earth's blood.
Hi, Pete Arbogast here. I just want to say how excited we are that Ford is continuing to support our Trojan family. We're really proud to see Ford as a world leader in automotive technology, and equally proud that Ford is a part of our USC team.
Sounds like that's getting worse.
From mild ailments to something more serious, HealthNet is here for you. We provide affordable health coverage that you and your family deserve. With plan benefits that include doctor visits, prescriptions, immunizations, and even free physical exams, HealthNet gives you peace of mind. Look to HealthNet for affordable health coverage for you and your family. We are your HealthNet.
HealthNet of California, Inc. and HealthNet Life Insurance Company are subsidiaries of HealthNet, Inc.
Hey, Trojans fans. Next time you need great seats to a game, you've got to get to StubHub, where you'll get rewarded on your USC Trojans tickets when you sign up for StubHub Fan Rewards before you buy. You'll score at least 2% back on your tickets, plus the chance at complimentary seat upgrades, preferred access events, and more. And if you can't make it to a game, you can always sell your ticket to another Trojans fan. StubHub is the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of USC Athletics.
Now back to Trojans Live from the lab. Here are Jordan Moore and John Jackson.
And also Clancy Pendergast, who way back when, you're 22 years now as an assistant coach, way back when you were a grad assistant at USC, and now you've come back and you're the defensive coordinator, and you've made such an immediate impact on this defense that really struggled last year. How have you been able to turn it around so quickly?
Well, the guys have really bought into the system, and I think when I first got here, sitting down with Coach Kiffin and Coach Orgeron, identifying the players that we had and kind of where they would fit within the scheme and how we could utilize their skill set the best was the very first thing that we did. And then put those guys in those positions, and then went out to spring football and tried to get better each and every day. And the guys have, bought in, and they're very coachable. Most of the guys have very, very good football IQ. And so we're able to do a lot of different things with them, so they're a fun group to coach.
Coach, when you first took the job, give me your impressions of what you thought from a talent level, and then now that you're seeing them perform on the field at the high level they're at, give me your impressions. Or is it one and the same?
Yeah, I would say it's the same. Like I said, from day one, I was excited to get the opportunity to coach with USC instead of against them, because I know how tough they are to go against and how much talent that was available here. And it was really a good marriage just in terms of what Coach Kiffin wanted from a scheme standpoint and what my background was being a coordinator and coaching the quote-unquote 5-2 or 3-4 type spacing up front. And, I was excited about the opportunity.
Really, from day one, when you've been asked about it, you always say this is a communication-based defense. Can you explain a little bit what that means and how much communication is going on before each play?
Yeah, I classify it as 3 different levels to the defense, which is number 1, the defensive line, number 2, the linebackers, and number 3, the secondary. And on any particular play, all those groups could be communicating together or one to the other, or there's some type of talking going on, which is telling, a linebacker telling a defensive lineman or an outside backer which one's rushing, which one's dropping. A secondary guy telling a linebacker what his coverage responsibility is based on a receiver's alignment. Or maybe a defensive back talking to an outside rusher on maybe what his alignment is on a drop on a zone pressure. So it's based off communication, and that communication's got to be upheld at all 3 levels.
Coach, and also the way you've drawn up the blitz is just phenomenal. I mean, it's fun to watch, and it's sort of funny to watch, to be honest with you, because the other teams are trying to counter it, and you keep countering a different blitz, dialing up a different blitz. Guys keep getting to the quarterback on a continuous basis. How big is the playbook? I mean, is this one of those things that we're just like scratching the surface, or it looks to me from the outside looking at it, you use every blitz that you have. Is that the case?
Well, I'd like to think it's a very player-friendly scheme. It may look like a lot of different things, but try to make it as simple as possible for the players. And I've always had the philosophy that I've never known a coach that caught a pass or made an interception or blocked or made a tackle. It's about the players. So the more you can put them in position to be successful and utilize their skill set is, something I've tried to do as a coordinator. I learned that my first year in 2004 coordinating for Denny Green with the Arizona Cardinals. My first job as a coordinator, period. And I was just trying to find my way, and he just came in my office and shut the door, and he says, use these players to the best of their ability, and you'll be all right.
A little bigger picture question. The big story this week in the NFL is Chip Kelly hits the NFL, and now your NFL buddies are probably calling you going, how'd you deal with this guy the last few years? Is, from a defensive standpoint, now that you're facing all these offenses, all different variations of the spread, so up-tempo, what is the future of defenses to try and stop all that?
Well, it's definitely challenging, and that's one of the things that I enjoy about coaching in the Pac-12 is because you see a different offense or a different style offense every week. So it makes it challenging not only for the coaches but for the players. And, we're trying to get them in position to where they can be the most successful. So it's important for the players to understand what they're facing week in and week out. And I think when you look at the football in terms of the style of offenses in grade school and in high school and in college, the spread game is becoming more and more prevalent. Now it's getting into the NFL, and I just see those techniques to continue to keep moving forward, and the pace of the game and the no-huddle and all those type things is an element that's, it's still just football, but there's a unique way that teams do that.
Coach, I know you know this. There's an evolution, just like you mentioned, with how the spread has grown, but also there has to be an evolution in how the defense defends the spread. One thing I noticed from the outside looking in, you can, tell me if I'm wrong, but it appears that now when teams are lining up in no huddle, signaling in plays, the defense obviously has to do the same, but it becomes a little bit of a chess game on who shows their hand first. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, there's a cat and mouse game that goes with every style of offense or defense you're gonna line up against on the weekends. But sure, that goes in every week, and the spread offense is no different than a pro style. You're just trying to figure out kind of what they're trying to do.
I want to ask you about a few of your players. First up, you didn't have any opportunity really to work with Dion Bailey during the spring, and he's come in. He's moved to safety. He's leading the team in tackles with 17, 2 interceptions. Can you talk about his growth almost immediately in your system in the first 2 games?
Yeah, Dion missed, like you said, all spring with the shoulder recovery off the surgery, and he was in all the. I coach the secondary and coordinate as well, and so he spent all the time with the DBs and the meetings and picking up the system, and he's a really high IQ guy from a football standpoint as well in the classroom, but he understands the game. He's a real natural. He's what I call a light bulb guy. You tell him something once and he gets it, And, those are the guys that you can do more things with, and he's really a joy to coach and really, enjoy watching him play every Saturday.
Another guy that I broadcast in high school throughout his high school career, and, of course, getting an opportunity to play immediately in your defense at Seward Cravens. What has he done so well to be able to transition and get a starting role so fast?
Sue is, way ahead of where you would think a freshman is, just in terms of his grasp of the game and the way he sees things and has a good feel for the game. And really his vision on the field is really good. And I think that's what makes him not only being a good athlete, but I think that's one of the things that makes him a really good player.
Well, Clancy Pendergast defense will be on full display this Saturday at noon at the Coliseum. Coach, we thank you so much for joining us. We'll hear from you as Trojans Live goes throughout the season. Back for one last chat with JJ on KFWB News Talk 980.
The BMW 3 Series is an icon that has topped Car and Driver's 10 Best list 22 consecutive times. Now introducing the newest member of the family, the BMW 320i. With 36 miles per gallon, no-cost maintenance for 4 years or 50,000 miles, and starting at $32,550, the legend continues. We only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine. For complete details on BMW Ultimate Service, call 1-888-3114-BMW.
See a Southern California BMW Center today for a test drive or visit SoCalBMW.com. Trojan fans, each season the schedule is filled with pesky opponents looking to bring you down. But when that yellow truck and the little man with the hammer pulls up to your home or place of business to battle your bug opponent, insects and pests have no chance. For over 90 years, Western Exterminator has been in the trenches, dominating every matchup and every battle of the bug, which is why true Trojan fans know that Western Exterminator is the final word in pest control.
It's Pac-12 football season, and you can watch the Trojans on DirecTV or on Pac-12 networks. On DirecTV, you can find Trojans with shields. On Pac-12 networks, you can find Trojans with shoulder pads. Trojans of lore, or Trojans that score. Touchdown! Trojans who sack cities, or Trojans who sack QBs. If you want every Trojans football game, drop DirecTV and get Pac-12 networks today. Go to pac-12.com/switch and choose one of the many providers offering Pac-12 networks.
In 1952, Lovey Yancey created something unique, a culture, a phenomenon, if you will. She created the biggest, juiciest hamburgers anyone had ever seen. So obviously, there was only one name for them, Fatburger. For more than 60 years, Fatburger has been dedicated to serving big, fresh, 100% pure lean beef burgers, custom made and grilled right in front of customers. Fatburger, big, juicy, tasty. Now that's a Fatburger.
We are back at the lab. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on KFW News Talk 980. JJ, the road to redemption, I guess, starts this Saturday. It's a long season, a lot of football to be played, and everyone may be in panic mode, but it can start turning around on Saturday. It
is a long season, and I think that with that being said, it's a long season, but the sense of urgency has definitely picked up. Now it's very important for the Trojan players especially to have trust in one another. It's not the same. They're the same players that came in. They're the same 4-star, 5-star guys. They were there. They need to trust each other on Saturday to get the win.
How about the fans, the environment you saw in the Coliseum last weekend? What would you like to see maybe? I mean, you've been a part of this program for a long time. What would you like to see on Saturday?
Well, the one thing that Trojan fans need to remember, that we're all Trojans, and we all have the same goal in mind, is to win. Nobody in the coaching staff or the players or the equipment guys or anybody want to lose. So with that being said, full support from the fans are critical for me. I just wanted to back this team all the way through.
And as Lane Kiffin said, they got to play well to give the fans something to cheer about. So we'll see what happens on Saturday. Tonight's highlights were courtesy of 710 ESPN. Your on-site engineer is Bill Bingham. Studio producer was Cornelius Edwards. The director of broadcast operations is Ann Beebe. Your executive producers of Trojans Live, Dan Schell and Tom Fiore. 1 week from tonight, September 19 at 7 p.m., we are going to be right back here at the lab for the next Trojans Live. Lane Kiffin will be here for a look back at Boston College, and we will preview USC's next opponent, a new one, Utah State. Plus, we're going to be joined by the perfect voice for radio, defensive line coach Ed Orger on the unmistakable Coach O. Thank you for joining us tonight. We will see you next week. Hopefully more fun things to talk about. Have a good one. Bye now.
You've been listening to Trojans Live, brought to you by
BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Visit SoCalBMW.com today to find a BMW center near you. By Valvoline, charge on, but visit Valvoline Instant Oil Change first. Home of the drive-through only change and proud sponsor of USC football. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for special discounts and offers. By Allstate Insurance, mayhem is everywhere. Start protecting yourself from mayhem with Allstate Insurance. By Western Exterminator, providing all-star termite and pest control you can trust for over 90 years. Western Exterminator.